a video of me just, oh, I need the light on. A video of me faffing around with some yogurt. So, I make my own yogurt. And what I normally do to thicken it up is I strain it through a cloth. So, this is the yogurt that I've just made. There's a video somewhere. And as you can see, it's set. It's set, but it's still kind of quite soft. So, once you give it a mix around, I'll show you. That's just going to spill everywhere. So there's a little bit of whey on top as well. It's set solid like that, but if you just give it a bit of a mix around, it goes a little bit too loose for me, you know, and it's nice, but it's just a little bit too loose. So I like to put it through strain it through a cloth, and then we remove excess whey, and then we're left with something that's thicker. This is the yogurt that I've removed some of the whey from. Some of the whey splits out of it, which we just get mixing that bit back in. But as you can see, that's a much better texture, much nicer, much creamier. So, I was chatting with someone, and he makes his own yogurt as well, and he uses milk powder he doesn't strain his yogurt like I do, he uses milk powder to thicken up his yogurt. And I was kind of thinking, oh well, that's kind of quite interesting. But also, from my point of view, I've been faffing around with milk powder before, and added it to cream, and it thickened the cream up. Not particularly in a nice way, but I don't know why I didn't make the leap to doing it with the yogurt. You know, I don't know why that hadn't crossed my mind. But anyway, so I was kind of quite curious about adding milk powder to yogurt to thicken it up, and that's kind of quite, I kind of thought, well, that's kind of quite interesting. So bought that from the co-op yesterday, cost me £3, and out of it we will get what, I don't know, I should have looked at the how much preparation guide. Right, so a pint we want about 60 grams, so 16 oh no, how many pints we're going to get out of this? Six-ish, five and a half pints, something like that. That's 24, 30. Yeah, just about 5.5 pints out of that for £3, which isn't that much. Is that right? Yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah, so that's not. It's a useful thing to have, but it's not. You know, fresh milk's cheaper. Of course it is, because there's a lot that goes into dehydrating milk. Is that right? Have I got my calculations right? No, that's even wrong, isn't it? I don't know. About 5.5 pints. Let's just pretend it's 5.5 pints. My calculations might be quite off. So 5.5 pints for £3 is kind of quite expensive, whereas 4 pints is about £1.40, something like that, depending on where you buy your milk. Maybe a little bit less. So more expensive to buy that, but of course. So is it kind of worth it adding milk powder to the? I'll do a calculation actually. Is it worth adding milk powder to the yogurt to thicken it up, or is it better just to? And it's skimmed milk as well, so I use whole milk. So, but is it worthwhile adding milk powder to what we're going to put in? I should have asked him. He's a nice guy. He would have told me. So by just adding a teaspoon of, it's got to, it'll have to soak into it, won't it? So a couple of teaspoons into there. Financially, it's probably not kind of worth it. But we'll leave that to soak it in, and we'll see what happens. And then I was kind of thinking that if we can thicken up yogurt with milk powder, can we thicken up like a bought yogurt? So I bought some of this Greek yogurt. This is really nice from Lidl, is this? but you have to buy it, and it's obviously buying yogurt's more expensive than buying milk. So I tend to make my own yogurt, and there's always leftover milk in the house that I've got to do something with. You know, there's always leftover milk. So this is already a good consistency, but can we make it thicker by adding milk powder? So about the same amount, and then 2 teaspoons of that, and then we'll see what happens. And then we'll just leave those for a bit, and we'll see if they thicken up. That doesn't look like it's... No, that doesn't look like it's thickened up at all. Let's put another teaspoon in. Mind you, it might be because that's still a little bit warm at that, so it might be down to the temperature. So let's cool it down. Let's put it in the fridge for an hour and see what happens. How's it taste? Now, the only downside is it's got that flavour of dried milk to it. So we'll put those in the fridge, and we'll see if they thicken up, and I'll strain that 2 o'clock, because I don't think that's going to work just as well as I would like. Right, it's had time to cool, so have we thickened up? Yeah, that's certainly thicker, isn't it? That's certainly thicker than it was, but that might just be down to it being cooler. Maybe. Is this thicker? That seems thicker, doesn't it? No, not that much. Not that much. Let's put some more milk powder in and see if we can get it thick. But of course it's, I mean, we're adding a powder to it, which is going to absorb some of the liquid in it, so of course it's going to thicken it up. But is it worth doing? That's kind of really what I'm trying to get at. Is it worth doing? Does it kind of change the flavour and take it to something that doesn't taste really like yogurt anymore, and more like a milk powder? Do you know, I think for the amount of milk powder that we'd have to add to it to get it to a thick consistency like that, or to a thick consistency like my homemade yogurt, well, you know, it's going to take a lot of milk powder, and that's going to just change the flavour of it, which I don't want. So I think straining the yogurt is still the best thing to do. It still is the best thing to do. But let's get that out of the way. Let's see if we can make another bit of washing up. Let's add some more milk powder to this and see how thick we get. I've forgotten how much that yogurt is. Maybe like £1.60, something like that. So my idea was that maybe by adding milk powder, we could use the yogurt for other things, but maybe straining it is the right thing to do if we want it thicker. I've already licked the spoon, but it changes the flavour. Sweetens it slightly. So, what are my kind of thoughts? So, I don't know. Let me just pause and think. Right, so my thoughts were that originally, could we thicken up the yogurt without having to strain it? But then my thoughts kind of led on to the, well then if we were thickening up, if we could buy yogurt and thicken it up with milk powder, could we then use that as a substitute for things like ricotta or mascarpone cheese? You know, but I don't think that we'd ever get to a, let's make some more, you know? I don't think we'd ever get to the consistency by adding milk powder of a ricotta, so like that. I don't think we'd have to add a hell of a lot of milk powder to the yogurt to get it to that, or even that. I think the only way that we're ever going to get to that kind of consistency is to strain some of the whey out of it. I think, you know. So, and I don't, and from a, it changes the flavour. Although the flavour is not that dissimilar to and that's a lot more creamy. So, excuse fingers, but it's kind of not that dissimilar, but kind of in the middle. Obviously ricotta's got that graininess to it, and the mascarpone's got that creaminess to it, and a slight malted flavour to it. A slight malted flavour, which is milk powder has kind of got like a bit of a malty flavour to it. And I did caramelise some milk powder, so wet finger into there. We're not out of the realms of kind of possibility. Let's have a bit of this. Let's make some more washing up. Let's add a bit of that to the yogurt. So that's toasted. That's the toasted milk powder. What does that kind of change the flavour? I suppose straining it and adding this milk powder will change the kind of flavour and make it creamier, and maybe take it to a mascarpone kind of level. But for trying to cut the cost down of what we're doing, probably just off best buying either ricotta or mascarpone. And it's got that malted milk. It's got that milk flour powder taste to it. So I don't think it's worth doing. I think if we're gonna use yogurt as a substitute for the ricotta and mascarpone, I think you just have to strain it to make it more like a cream cheese type of thing. So, kind of a bit of, didn't kind of go where I thought it might go. Not really a failure, because we've learned that we can't, that thickening up yogurt with milk powder is not really kind of worth it. We might as well just strain the yogurt to make it thicker. And then we get delicious, like homemade yogurt kind of flavour. So anyway, so not really a success, but learning something new is always, yeah, that's a complete stretch of the imagination, isn't it? yeah, kind of a success because we learned that we can't do something. But anyway, I'll have to do something with all these now, won't I? So I think we might have a go at making a bit of a semi-Fredo, shall we? We'll see how long this video is. How long have I been prattling on? No, I'll have to make a separate video, otherwise it'll just be a bit too long. But otherwise, we'll just class this as faffing around with yogurt and milk powder, I think, and then we'll kind of do another video on using all this stuff up. And I want to make some cheese curds anyway. Yeah, so we can use up the cheese curds as well. So yeah, that's what we'll do. So I was going to do another experiment with faffing around with cheese curds. So if I'm making some cheese curds, we might as well then combine all this stuff together and make like a semi-Fredo, I think. And then we'll see how the semi-Fredo turns out made with strange yogurt. I think that'll be another video though. Yes. So yes, a kind of success, but not a complete success.